Good morning, everyone. It's 9 a.m. It's Tuesday, April 17th. We'll open up this weekly meeting of the Cudahy County Board of Commissioners. We'll open up the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Troy, you want to lead us this morning?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Troy, and thank the Lord for sunshine. Makes us all feel better. A couple of housekeeping things. If you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off. If you do get a call and you need to take it, please step out into the rotunda so you don't disrupt whoever happens to be speaking at that time. Also, this meeting, as all of them, are being streamed live, so if you wish to address the board, you will be on being streamed live, just to give you a heads up. So you might want to check your hair or whatever. So, Charlie, check your hair before you. Yeah. All right. Entertain a motion
motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve the agenda by Hatton, a second by Van Dusen. Any comments, any changes? I have one. First off, is there anyone out in the audience that wishes to address the board during our open?
Veterans have a very brief request.
Okay, and we'll squeeze that in during the open.
In the back.
In the back, okay. So just bear with us until the open, and so you get to sit through most of the meeting, so it'll be entertaining for you anyway. So we can allot time for you just so that we know where we're at.
We also will have an executive session on personnel.
Correct, we do have an executive session. Terry Satterley has requested a executive session, and that is a personnel issue. Terry's not here right now.
No, it's personnel.
Personnel, yep. So number one, that would fall under. All right, anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. How about the minutes of the, we have 3 different meetings that we need to approve, so we're going to take them one at a time. So first off is April 10th, and that's our regular meeting.
Approve those minutes as emailed.
I have a motion by Hatton to approve the April 10th minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Van Dusen, any discussion on those minutes? April 10th, that was our regular meeting as of last week. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go to the 11th then. The 11th are the minutes of the bid opening, which we were all here for that. We had a regular meeting and opened up the bids.
Move to approve
I have a
those.
motion by Hatton, a second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And then the third is, what date is the third?
April 10th, the 2018 County Board of Equalization.
All right, that was County Board of Equalization on April 10th.
Move to approve those as emailed as well.
Second?
We have a motion by Hatton, a second by Gable. Is that who made the second?
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And all those were in your packet. Let's go to number 4. Whoops, action to approve minutes of the, we did that.
Yep, we're down to number 5.
We're down to number 5. Open asphalt mat construction bids and award of the same. Rick?
I'd like to introduce, I think most of you know Rick Hartley, but Rick Hartley's been assistant superintendent for a lot of years.
Morning, Rick. Rick and Rick.
Yeah. Rick Squared.
This is the Rick program here, huh? Oh, you don't need a letter opener, or do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, thank you.
I think
You can pass them down if you want.
I should have one.
Oh, I just had some.
All right, Rick, just explain just briefly what this is.
This is a bid letting for asphalt surface and milling of anywhere between 4 and 6 miles of County Road 6 from Old 81 east towards Waverly. It'll be milling off an 1.5 inches and putting 2 inches of new asphalt back on. It looks like we have 3 bidders. Start with the first one. It's Bituminous Paving out of Ortonville, Minnesota.
Spell that for us, will you?
Bituminous Paving Incorporated. Bond looks to be in place. Everything looks good on the bid bond. We will start virgin material. Bid A, $92 per ton. And bid B, bid C, excuse me. Bid C on the virgin material is $140 per ton. And bid E on virgin material is $63 per ton.
Rick, will you just briefly tell us the difference?
The $92 per ton is for the in-place on County Road 6. Bid C is for 1,500 tons of patching that they will lay with paver patches throughout the county, at different sites throughout the county. And bid E is material that the county forces will pick up at the plant.
Okay, thank you.
I will go to the recycled material. Bid B is $92 per ton. Bid D is $140 per ton. And bid F is $63 per ton. So it's same across the board on virgin or recycling. The next bidder we have is Bowes Construction, B-O-W-E-S, out of Brooklyn, South Dakota.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
there's a gentleman in here.
I was wondering, Rick, if you could repeat the bid C and D. Is it 104 or
140. 140.
Thank you.
Who's this one from, Rick?
You have a mic? Oh, okay.
The next bid is from Bowes Construction out of Brookings, South Dakota. And I guess they did not bid it on the Cottington County form. They don't have them labeled as bid A, B, C, or whatever. The specs, I'll have to go back and I'll bring a copy of the specs and point out that it's specified that it has to be bid on the Cottington County form.
Is there a bid bond?
No bid bond either. The next bid is from Dunick out of Krinsburg, Minnesota. They also have an office here in Watertown.
Spell that for us, will you?
D-U-I?
D-U-I-M-I-N-C-K. certificate of authorization, or basically a license for South Dakota and Minnesota included. Bid A is $76 per ton.
Virgin Materials?
This is Virgin Materials again.
Okay.
Bid C, Virgin Materials, is $88 per ton. And bid E, the Virgin Material, is $57 per ton. Bid B, using recycled material, is $69 per ton. Bid D is $79 per ton. And bid F is $47 per ton.
What a difference.
I would suggest I'll go back, take these back and add them up and make sure all the numbers.
Will you be able to get back before the end of the meeting today?
Yes, we'll be
Okay.
back for executive session. What time do you anticipate the executive session?
Oh, but it's going to be 10-ish, I imagine.
Yeah, I would guess at least.
Okay, we'll be back around 10.
And one question before you leave. We've used recycled materials in the past.
Yes, we
No
have.
issue there, is there?
No, we did find on County Road 17, I don't know, there's some spots where it appears there might have been dirt, balls of dirt in the mix. So that's the only issue we've had so far. It's nothing that, I didn't see any
There's
problem
there's
with
quite a
this
difference.
one.
in
Yeah,
these-
there is.
in the bids.
There is.
All right, thank you. We'll see you later.
Yep, and I'll be back. Just as far as we might as well do our monthly report.
Yep.
We've been plowing snow. How's that?
There you go.
Unfortunate.
I even saw you out Sunday.
Yeah. Well, in between, we're doing crack sealing also and stuff, but we've been pretty busy the last few days plowing. So.
Yeah. How's it going?
Going good.
How's the budget?
But just looking good.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the first thing somebody asked, you know, with all the extra overtime. And I talked to a state guy yesterday that runs plow. He said he had 40 hours of overtime last week.
Yeah.
And that's
I was just went through the time sheets today, and just in the last week, I had guys, a lot of them take comp time, and one gentleman earned 31 hours of comp time.
yeah.
That adds up in a
It
hurry.
was a big storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did polish off my mailbox. You did get her. Good. So,
We did get a few.
you wounded it the first time, but you got her this time. So.
That heavy wet snow, we did get
Oh,
a
that's
few.
terrible, yeah.
I know, I drove the roads and I seen a few of them laying in the,
Yeah.
none of the guys reported running over one, but I know
No.
they took them out with the snow.
Yeah.
Rick, one thing that I was wondering was how many blades do we have during a snowstorm like that?
5.
How many? We have 5 that are out?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one in Henry, Florence, South Shore, and Kranzberg, and one in Watertown.
Okay.
And Sunday, at one point, we had 4 of them in the northeast corner of the county for a short period of time.
Wow.
Down in Brookings County, where my brother lives, he was telling that they had the payloader going ahead of the snowplow to bust the banks open so they could get the plow through. That's
Yeah.
how bad it was down there in that Toronto and White area.
And we did have a motor grader just ahead of this storm. The motor grader in Watertown went down, transmission went out of it, and we got a loaner in right a day ahead of the storm. Butler gave us a loaner, but it's one of those deals where our total cost is paying off in this deal. That transmission, I'm sure you're looking at $20,000+
yeah.
to repair the transmission, and that's 100% covered in the warranty the way we do this total cost. So,
Good. Thank you,
all
Rick.
right, be back about 10.
Yep.
Thanks, Rick.
Keep the sun shining. We could back up to number 6 now on the agenda items, and that's discussion possible action on a petition to lower the speed limit on a portion of 460 Avenue south of Highway 212. There's the petition is in your packet. It's got the signatures on it. Is there anyone in the audience today that represents that group?
Mike is here.
You bet. I thought that's what you were here for. The request is to lower the speed limit of 55 miles an hour to either 35 to 45 miles per hour on at least the first mile south of Highway 212. I think most of us have driven that, so we all know where it's at and what you're talking about. We have done this before. Sioux Conifer Road is an example. The first stretch of Sioux Conifer Road from Highway 20 north, we did lower it. No, we raised it actually. Or we stabilized it. There was about 3 different speed limits there at one time, so we got actually 2. One where the housing development is, and then beyond the housing development, then it went back up to 55. So, what are the wishes of the commission?
Did you want Mike to?
Yeah, Mike, you want to address it or say anything? Sure, come on up here. We want to get you on tape. You got your hair slicked up good, so you're... So when you put in your per diem to the township, you can, say you were here.
Mike will have you use a mic.
Tell us who you are and who you represent.
No pun intended.
I'm Mike Mack, here representing the residents that live along 460th Avenue south of 212. In addition, I guess I'd like to also add the second half mile that was not included on the original form that you received. Upon visiting with Mark and Valerie Simon that live on the second mile, their concern also was of the blind spot on the hill by their place south of their driveway. They said they've had numerous close events with traffic coming over that hill, and Mark said last year he almost got a motorcycle that come over rather rapidly as he was pulling out with his tractor. So I guess in addition we'd like to add that half mile as well. I guess there's great concern about a potential accident. Fortunately, none have happened at this time, but some close calls have been encountered. People with grandchildren and children living along that road, and people that walk there as well with no shoulder are also in danger. So I guess with that, we'd like to have that in the request.
Okay, do you have any questions for Mark? Anyone?
Mr. Mack, have you spoken with the sheriff about this issue, about speed up there?
Have not visited with any law enforcement, I guess. I visited with my neighbor, Alan Casperson, who said he has been in contact with them, asked him to position along the road somewhere, but he said where he asked him to be is down at the end by 212, which I think that's already too late. They're already slow enough to turn on. I think if someone would law enforcement would position at the mile line, it would be better enforced.
Yeah.
I actually have had a conversation, and they had no issue if this was to be changed.
Okay.
Anything else from Mr. Mack? Rick, would you chime in on this?
From a transportation standpoint, I don't recommend lowering speed limits. It's a agricultural highway. It does have one area where there's 5 homes and a quarter mile, but the rest of it is rural highway.
Okay.
And in the area where the 5 homes are, they're all on one side of the road. And like I say, it's just a quarter mile stretch, and to lower the speed limit for 2 miles for a little area like that, like I said, my idea of transportation is keeping the traffic moving, but if it needs enforcement, maybe that's an issue that has to be looked at.
Okay? So, Commissioner Waterman.
I have a question, and you're kind of in a situation like that out where you live. Is that a reduced speed limit around there?
No, it's not. It's 55 miles an hour.
Do you feel threatened?
You mean by the traffic or
Yes,
by
yeah.
neighbors?
No. Well, it's an election year, yes, but, no, just by traffic.
I wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
In reality, we have a tremendous amount of truck traffic by our place because of the gravel pit up there. And we've survived. We had a neighbor kid that just about got clipped here a few years back. Other than that, we've been very, very fortunate, but I think everybody knows that the speed limit is 55 and most people will drive probably 60 or 65. That's the way it is. That's the way it is all over. I will say that enforcement has been very good out there. It really is. There's a lot. The county sheriff, the county deputies, and the highway patrol, they all work that section pretty hard. So people do watch that a little bit, but I'm not really answering your question, am I?
No, you are. You're giving, I wanted your input because you have a similar situation with a lot more houses.
I think there would be, my phone would probably get hot if we were to reduce it to 45. But the people that travel that road going in and out to work and, you know, and just general commerce. So bottom line is that 55 probably hasn't affected us, but it's always been that way, you know.
I would like to add, I live on a highway as well. The speed limit's 65, but it's flat where I am, so you can see traffic from both directions for quite a ways. Where Mike lives, I can understand, you know, there are some of those, you know, hills that do have blind spots in them. Which direction was that motorcycle coming from? What have you said to go the 1.5 miles? Which way was he coming or going from?
He was coming from the south going north, so as he came over the hill, he was blind until he got in vision to the driveway that was below the hill. So.
Right. So that's why this is maybe a little more unique with just the landscape out there.
All right, any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, so
Lee.
what percentage of the residents in that place does this petition represent? Is this pretty much everybody?
This is everybody, but except for the Enders family that live right along the highway. I stopped there, did not find anybody home, but I also felt there was no need for them being they live right off the highway. Everyone else very willingly signed and said it was something that needed to be addressed for a long time.
I would make a motion to lower it. I don't know, the 1.5 miles is quite a ways, because we do have it on the bureau for about 3/4 of a mile. If we get them slowed down, I don't know, to 45 anyway, I guess I would be willing. I just don't know that I would say the whole 1.5 miles.
Rick, is this part of an ordinance?
This is a motion.
Yeah.
So we would have to have, a first and second read. This is part of the ordinance. So
established by the
you would have to have a first reading, second reading, public hearing before,
Okay, gotcha.
I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
have to do.
Okay.
It's just whether we're going to do it or not, I guess. So yeah,
You could.
in error
make
saying a motion.
You could make a motion
To
to move forward
move
with
forward.
changing the ordinance, if that's.
I would like to hear specifically from the sheriff himself or from a representative of the sheriff's department what their recommendation is. I would like them to come. I would like them to perhaps conduct a speed survey out there to see what the issue is and see if they can take enforcement action before we drop the speed limit out there. I mean, that's just, I understand the concern, but I think if we were able to put the speed trailer out there and maybe take enforcement action, maybe that would help some of that.
Brenda, did you offer a motion?
I did, but I guess it didn't get.
I'll second Commissioner Hatton's motion.
We have a motion and a
With
second.
what Troy said along as part of that before, you know, to add on to the traffic counts and the sheriff's input.
Let's clarify.
traffic counters out there.
Yeah.
The traffic counters we have now measure the speed of the vehicles also, and give you a number of vehicles and class classification, how many trucks, and what their speeds are.
So my motion basically, I guess, is to move forward in investigating.
Investigate,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
And then
all right.
we will, yeah.
Is that-
And Mr. Mack, I'm not saying that that's not
Second?
something that
Okay.
needs to be
Yeah.
done.
All
It might very well
All right.
be something that needs to
That
be
will
done.
warrant that.
But I'd like to do some more research before we go.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Good discussion. We understand the situation, and we just want to look at it further.
There's a process.
Do we need to schedule then a first reading?
No, not until you get some feedback
All right.
after investigation.
Mike wants to say something as also.
I was also curious, I guess, what the standard is for posting speed limit signs. Notice on that road, there's only one coming off of 212. There's none on the south end where you enter onto 460th off of, I believe it's
There should be one there.
and as well as on the Bureau Road, I traveled that too, and there's really no entry speed from the south there. I don't know if you're just supposed to know what the speed limit is.
That's an excellent question, because we got two guys right here that's their mission. So you'll check it out, right? I thank you. And thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for coming in and sharing that with us. Appreciate it. And we will keep you in the loop too, Mike. So if we have a public hearing and so on.
Do we need to vote on? Did we vote?
What?
I don't think we did.
No, we did not vote on it. All in favor indicate by saying aye. First off, does everybody understand the motion?
Clarify the motion, please.
Clarify.
Motion by Hanton, second by Gable to investigate the situation further with traffic checks and monitoring by the law enforcement. Okay.
Discussion. My discussion is who's going to contact the sheriff?
I can.
All right, so we have that, so we don't get up and walk out of here and say who's gonna do what, so, all right?
Well, and Rick said they have counters as well, so they'll be part of that process.
Okay, any more discussion? Any more? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, the motion carries. All right, Milo, facility manager. Good morning, Milo.
Good morning.
I've been reading your emails. I didn't answer them because I didn't have an answer, so.
Good morning, Milo.
Okay, I will start my report with some information from Memorial Park. As you are probably aware of, our park manager, Tom Sauer, has passed away. Our contingency plan formed when we became aware of Tom's illness has worked out reasonably well. We discussed that a little bit last week and kind of tweaked it a little. We have had 2 county employees and 1 temporary hire and myself covering the phones for the last 2 weeks. So far, the park has taken in approximately $17,000 in advance reservations so far this year, and that is very close to the figures from this time last year. We do have 2 park workers have started up for the season. They're currently engaged in some inside chores. They're building picnic tables, garbage can racks, working on equipment, and et cetera. We did come across a mold issue in the park office and are in the process of dealing with that. This was caused by water infiltration from an air conditioner. I removed sheetrock and vapor barrier from the entire west wall of that office. And we're in the process of making corrections to prevent that from occurring again. I think we have something on the agenda later to deal with that. This year's circumstances are causing some concern in getting things up and rolling at the park this year. One way or another, we'll be ready to accept campers by May 1st, but we still may be under construction in the office area, and we may not have water service to the campsites yet. Personally, I've never opened the season by having to plow snow off the sites to accommodate the first camper, so this may be the first. Any questions on Memorial Park? Okay, I'll move along to the Ag Building. The SDSU offices have reported difficulty in receiving cell phone signal in their area. I have contacted the vendor that supplied our cell phone reception extender system to see what can be done to improve that situation. At the courthouse, the last month, I've spent a lot of time giving tours of the remodel area to various contractors over the last month. The Veterans Service Office and the Welfare Office were successfully moved to their new location on April 2nd. I think most of the problems encountered were minor in nature, and everyone seems to have survived. All the phones, data lines, and security systems are in place and working correctly as far as I know. My thanks to the maintenance staff for their exceptional work in making this move happen in a relatively short period of time. The offices were painted, carpeted, partial remodeling done in both of them before the move occurred. They did an excellent job in taking care of our customers. The county health nurse has also completed their move as of last week. They moved to their new location on First Avenue. We weren't involved as much in that process, and we did help with a couple things.
The Department of Health covered a lot of it.
Yeah, Department of Health covered most of the issues over there.
Did we find anything to help them with their signage problem?
No, I have not contacted the city.
I can clarify that.
Okay.
With the, they have a signage problem with the city? Or the,
Well, people aren't seeing their building. So they wanted some temporary signage. They thought about sending one of the girls out in a sandwich board. And I had, she asked if the county had any kind of marquee type sign that they could use, but Milo brought up the fact that any temporary signage would have to be approved by the city of Watertown. So I just kind of wanted to get back to them to let them know that we weren't able to find anything, or
we just need to let everybody know, perhaps at meetings like this, that the nurse is relocated in the previous Cranes Insurance building on First avenue. And that, by the way, just to finish the sign thing, the Department of Health covers that. They have a way. They have a process to put the permanent one in.
Right.
So they're
it's
working
just,
on that.
They said people are just driving by, looking.
And we have it noticed on their door where they were before, the new address, I'm guessing.
I did have an
Can we get that in
opportunity
there,
to
that address?
stop in the other day and get a tour of the facility after they've moved in, and they're all very happy. They love it there. More room, and well, it's a relatively new building, so it's very, very nice.
Windows.
Okay. So now what this accomplishes, this now leaves much of the remodeling area open for the start of the project, pending the acceptance of bids and stuff. We have area where contractors will be able to start to go to work. Detention center, not a lot of problems to report this month. There's been more activity at moving files and storerooms around in the basement area, utilizing that area more effectively. This has been kind of an ongoing project for a number of months, but it's coordinated between the sheriff's office, the jail, emergency management, and the maintenance crew. They all have various storerooms down there with items in. Snow removal has been an issue since my last report. That's no surprise, but it does eat up a lot of our hours. We have had the highway shop in twice to remove our snow piles, so no tobogganing took place. I guess we have another pile there now. If anyone wants to go out there, today looks like a nice day to play in the snow. We've had to do this just to, we have to remove it so we have a place to store the next batch that comes in. I think we're going to attempt to let this current pile thaw as nature intended it to.
Shouldn't take very long. Shouldn't.
Any questions or comments while you have me in front?
Anything for Milo?
Do you want to do items 8 and 9?
Yeah, we can do 8 and 9.
While he's here.
Sarah, you want to sit tight? Okay, we'll go on with 8 and recognize the longtime Memorial Park campground managers Tom and Sharon Sauer, and we want to take this time to acknowledge their service to the county and the good work that they did out at the camp. We have a card here for them, and we would ask, Milo, well, do you see Sharon or Tom? Well, you won't see Tom.
I won't see Tom.
No, you won't see, hope you don't see Tom.
Yes, I will be
Yeah.
in touch with Sharon.
Yeah, but Sharon, make certain that she gets that and offer our condolences and our congratulations. Will you do that for us?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's go on to number 9, action to approve repairs to Memorial Park Campground Office. And there was something in your packet in reference to that.
Okay.
Milo, go ahead.
Yeah, I did contact a vendor or a contractor on this. Basically, I've already removed the sheetrock and the offending problem from approximately 20 foot of wall in that office. Now we're looking at putting the wall back together, putting a couple windows in there. It's kind of like a cave at the present moment, but the cost to do that come in, the estimate come in at $3,500, which brings me up here to ask permission to go ahead with that.
I have a question. With the cost being that what it is, you guys have already done quite a bit of the work. Would it be too much of a strain, and what would the cost be? Could we do it in-house? Is that something that we could do?
We do have a carpenter in-house. I think it's something we could handle. The primary issue there is, we may have a couple hours a day that we could work on that kind of a project, which really strings it out a ways. We are under a bit of a time crunch. I think we could do it probably cheaper if we could authorize overtime. There again, it wouldn't be a tremendous amount of overtime, but just trying to do something like that with an hour and a half, 2 hours at a crack, just takes a long time. I think we could get further ahead if we could send someone out there for 4 or 5 hours a day anyway.
This $3,500, would that include materials then?
Yes.
All right.
What is the cost of materials on this project?
That was not broken down. Actually, probably pretty minimum. I would say easily less than $1,000. But I, don't have an exact figure to work with there. But that's a good ballpark figure.
Milo, was the problem the air conditioner or a window, or what's to prevent it from happening?
It was an air conditioner that was leaking, probably installed incorrectly.
Okay.
Not exactly sure. We weren't even aware there was a problem. Actually, one of the workers that was out there volunteered to, that wall was wallpapered, and volunteered to, glue the wallpaper back up where it was coming loose. And, with a little further investigation, we noticed it was black behind the wallpaper where it was loose. So we pulled it out a little bit, and eventually, I should have brought my telephone up here.
Yeah, you did have a picture.
We saw it.
I did show some of you some pictures, and it ended up where the mold had pretty much infiltrated the entire wall.
Okay, any more questions for Milo? What's the wishes?
I'd move to approve this.
I would make a motion, well, go ahead.
Lee made a motion to approve
Yeah.
the request. Is there a second to that? Is there a second? Is there a second? Seeing no second, the motion fails for a lack of second. Is there another motion that someone would like to bring forward?
I would make a motion that we do it in-house and allow one of our maintenance crew that is the carpenter the extra time to do this, because it's probably more than likely going to be less than this amount, so that will be a cost savings to the county by doing it in-house.
All right, you heard the motion. Is there a second to that motion? Waterman, any discussion?
The only question that I have is as far as liability coverage for this employee working extra hours doing this, we would be okay with that? Is there any wiring or anything in this project?
No wiring that would be involved.
Okay, so it's
I
just,
don't think there'd be any extra hours. He'd work during his regular hours, right?
No, we're
But you had
allowing him.
mentioned
There would
overtime.
probably be some overtime involved.
Okay?
And any hours that any employee puts in is covered by our insurance coverage.
And is there, just on, with the, our talking about the new safety manual, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, since you're remediating mold, is there any, is that covered in the safety manual so that or do we need to have a specialist do this? Is this the kind of, is it that serious or is it just?
Well, the mold is already gone, so.
Okay, all right.
Mold is out the door
That's
already.
before the safety manual is in place.
Okay. All right.
Anything else? Any good questions, though?
So your motion is basically authorizing overtime hours for the employees.
Is it not to exceed a certain amount of time, or?
That wasn't in the motion.
Well, it would be hard to put a number on that, I would imagine.
What are
It's
you
just a
thinking,
guess.
Milo, as far as how long it would take to do that? I don't know how big the wall is.
I wouldn't, I would think 20 hours would be sufficient, and, call half of it regular time, half of it overtime. That's
So we're looking at about 10 hours, 12 hours of overtime.
probably.
Okay?
Still less than
That's
$35,000.
just a discussion. That's not part of the motion. Okay? All right, anything else? Any other discussion? Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, your handyman can go to work.
Thanks.
We do have the safety manual laying here, and I did get some requests or some questions from Milo, and I'll visit with you later, okay?
Okay.
In reference to those questions that you had, all right?
All right.
I'm not trying to avoid them, but, all right, Sarah, come on up. Welfare report. Good morning, Sarah.
Morning, Sarah.
You get this? You don't need the secret adapter? Or?
It's right here.
Actually, it looks like it'll fit on this side. You have an HDMI.
Oh, and maybe you don't need the,
Yeah, she's,
okay,
I think you got to flip it the other way. There you go.
okay.
I emailed out the welfare report. Does anybody want a hard copy as well?
Is this the welfare report?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like email.
Oh, okay. Does anybody want a hard copy? Okay. As we're trying to pull this up,
Working on it.
I just want to extend a thank you to the maintenance. They did a wonderful job. Every day they would call us in the morning and ask us if we needed anything. We worked through
With your move, correct?
with our move, yes, with our move. And the city department's been wonderful too. They've been checking in on with us, and we've had some funny moments of things that have happened. Working with the city, we have a schedule. They email us a schedule so we know whether to lock up at night or not. Especially with the winter weather, it's been pretty busy. We got golfers over there and soccer and all sorts of stuff. So, also we do have a lot of redirecting people. We get a lot of people. I mean, a lot stopping in for park and rec stuff. We were told we probably will get payments through that door too, so waiting for that. But anyways, everybody's been good to work with. So thank you for allowing me to report a little bit later. We did have a few things we had to work through, but everybody was really good with. Also, Bernie with the phone systems has been fantastic in helping us out there. This is a February report. Basically on here, I'm getting older. I don't quite need bifocals, but don't quite do very well without them either. So as you can tell, in February, we still worked on a lot of the medical. We had about 12 that we were handling. A lot of times what happens with that is the Avera sends theirs out in quarterly, and so we kind of work towards those, their lawsuits and stuff, working on those, getting those taken care of. A lot of time being spent on that medical. And then again, the economic assistance is about 37%, and that's primarily basically people are seeking more than one sort of system, one service. It's not just utilities or just housing, maybe multiple. What we did on the bottom here, the prescription the Caremark prescription card program is on your bottom left, and what that is because now they have a new person doing it, and the reports are coming in later and later, so it can't match up with the report we're giving. Like the February report didn't even come until like last week, so we're just going to put that on the bottom. And what we had on that is we had in January we had 36 people that utilized that program, which is a cost savings of $2,454. And then in February we had 27 people that utilized that program, the cost savings of about $1,700. As far as the referral to the other agencies, that's just kind of graphed out the different services that we've used at this last month. Are there any questions for me on that report? Okay. Then I have a handout here. I just said I would bring up different things from the NACO. And last month, if I change this, is this going to change automatically? Oh, yes. Okay. So last month, Brenda, you talked about the poverty simulation brought up, and you talked about chaos. And that's exactly kind of a little bit what we had talked about at NACO. One of the things that we work with out there that they talk about is toxic stress. And basically it's talking about the toxic stress and the effects on kids. And I'm going to see if I can get this up here. And basically it's just what toxic stress is, just a strong, frequent, prolonged stress on children, and it can come from adults. And so when you look at some risks and contexts that can cause stress, now this didn't go down. Let's try this again.
Should be able to just...
So if I screen down, it's not screening down for me.
Your space bar. Are you in presenter mode?
I am, and so now but it's not connecting the two, like, so if I close out, it's still here.
Wait.
Oh, let's see. There. Did we get it?
Oh, there you are.
There we go. Okay, thank you. So one of the things with toxic stress is the risks that I particularly work with is poverty. Kind of like what you saw in that simulation. You're working and then you're having to do all these things, and as kids, I think you both were kids, right? Did you kind of feel that effect? And what the reality, one of the things I wish they would put in that poverty is, when do you cook meals? And when do you do your homework? Because I'm guessing what we see. You got expelled, yes.
I was the good child, but the thing is I stayed in school all the time. It is hard because these kids are brought home and their parents are out scrambling around trying to do all this, so they're left at home alone, and yeah, there is nothing there, and some of them don't even have the funds to probably have meals. So, yeah.
Or they get pulled into problem solving. We had a teenager bringing their sister to a Department of Social Services. So you become into that. Those kids can become that adult role. So it's that long-term toxic stress. Other things that deal with that too is partnered violence, which is domestic violence, mental illness, substance use, and then just any sorts of compromised parenting and maltreatment in children. And it does apply to what we do. So what they've done, and you guys might be familiar with this, is there's an adverse childhood experience study, and there's a questionnaire that you can take that tells you if you've been in these toxic stress situations as an adult, you are going to have some not only emotional effects, but physical effects. This can predict the 10 leading causes of adult health, death, and disability. So there's a significant value to that. And so basically what you're looking at is the lifespan effects of ACE to health and well-being. And this is the value of the work we're doing with the adults. This is why this is important for us to work with these adults and have healthy families and communities, because that will pass on to these children. That toxic stress, you've got the bottom is the adverse childhood experience, and then the next level you have social, emotional, cognitive impairment. They actually do brain studies where the scans on the brains of kids in environments that are stressful, how the brain is smaller. It changes the way the brain develops, and it has negative effects. And so that's where you deal with a lot of your kids that the brain structure doesn't develop appropriately. It has physical effects such as asthma, inflammation. There's developmental delays. There's cognitive delays, executive functioning. Like, I bet Troy would love to tell you he'd like to meet those people that would think through what they were going to do. That's what the executive functioning is saying, if I do this today, you know, if I jump in a mud puddle, my shoe gets wet, and if I don't want to get wet, I don't jump in that mud puddle. Right. But a person without that executive functioning can't think that through. So think about when a high schooler that can't think through their actions, or an adult. So it impairs that. They also have external problems and mental illnesses. But it also increases blood pressure and lowers the response to stress. So you've got first that social, emotional, cognitive impairment, and then the adoption of health risk behaviors. And I'm going to show you that screen in just a second. And then that can lead to disease, disability, social problems, and early death. That's a significant impact. So what you're looking at is people that have a score of 4 or more are more likely to be smokers, depressed, attempt suicide 12.2 times per suicide, 7.2 times alcoholic drug users, and also 5.5 times more to abuse their partners. So these are significant impacts, and if we can help adults be healthy, we're trickling that down. And so the next slide, this actually came from Oregon. They did this study. I didn't pull anything like if we have anything, but the significant impact that we have, this is Central Oregon, and basically 19 million was productivity loss, 12 million medical costs. So this affects your whole community. You've got the welfare costs, your special education, and then your criminal justice costs. So when we can work with these adults and help reduce that toxicity and help with, like with the stepping up, helping people with those mental illnesses, change that course, we're trickling down and impacting the children, which then is also impacting the economics. So that was one of our presentations that we had out there. We know that we need to be working with kids as well. That's outside of my capacity and realm, but even if you can change that toxicity in the adult home, you are impacting those children. So any questions on that?
Good presentation.
It's interesting. I had an opportunity one time to attend a seminar in reference to promoting preschool education and kindergarten. And I had my eyes open there, where they'd done a tremendous amount of study and work on the earlier that the preschoolers or the kindergarten people get into an educational cycle, the success rate is very, very much a lot higher for those people. It's a very, very good outcome. The same one with this thing here. Very, very similar to it.
A lot of it too is like with the ICAP, what's the preschool?
I was going to say Head Start and early Head Start, those are and that's why it was very important that we find a building for that to continue.
Yeah, and part of what that can do is if you're a child in that toxic environment, it takes you out of it, gives you routine, gives you stability, you get snacks, also increases the language. People in poverty have less language, and as they get older, that gap just becomes further and further. So there's, they kind of gear towards, Head Start gears towards kind of that dynamics of people that are at risk of this position, so it gives them that other.
It exposes them to normalcy. Yeah.
Good. Any more questions for Sarah? Anything else? Any comments?
Did you send those by email to us?
I didn't the PowerPoint, but I can do that.
Yeah, please.
I'm still working on technology.
I didn't get this one either.
Actually, I just printed it out. You sent it to me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I just printed it out for the meeting.
And that was okay. But yeah, I was looking, I thought,
Yep. I mean,
I'd like that one too.
it did come in the
Okay.
email.
I will send it
It
to
did come in the
Cindy.
email that I sent you. With your minutes and everything.
Okay, yeah, that way, okay.
I want it separate.
You want?
I saw the pie chart and I thought it was something Lee was sending us.
You have to file a facility dude request for that.
Okay, and so if I send it to Cindy,
I probably
to
still
She
have
can
it.
forward it on.
That works out.
I'll do both.
It's probably still in here then.
So
We got the hard copy.
I have the single, no,
right.
I do have the single attached.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good, very informative.
All right, let's go to West Nile.
Mr.
Steve.
Chairman, just real quick, we have
Yes.
a behavior of Health and Justice Working Group meeting this Thursday. Just a reminder.
Yes, this Thursday.
Oh, sorry, Wednesday, tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Police station, the Hidgewig.
What time is that again?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
At the community, at the
Yep.
PD, Watertown.
Yep, 2
Police
o'clock.
Department.
128 South, North Maple.
All right, now we're going to go to West Nile.
GPS if you can.
That's right.
Our mosquito man. I haven't noticed any mosquitoes lately, though.
I hope not. If they come out this time of the year, I guess they're really in trouble.
They're tough.
What I'm asking for is to apply for the grant, the West Nile grant that's through the Department of Health. Last year, I applied for a $5,000 grant, received $4,311, I believe, $4,311. How this is developed is it goes on population, size of the county or area that you cover. It also is determined if other entities apply for this, like towns and so like that, like Watertown applies. Most of the communities last year, except for South Shore, I did contact them. They are in the process of applying also, so that will make an effect on the amount that the state allows for the county.
I'll make a motion to
All
authorize
right, we have a
you to
motion by
apply.
Hatton.
Second.
Second by Van Duzen. Any discussion?
Mr.
Any
Chairman,
discussion?
so what is there, I'm sorry, could you go over, is there a match to this, or is it just, it
Nope,
covers
this
everything?
just covers, and what it does, basically, it will cover some chemical costs, but it probably covers more. I do trapping and stuff like that in all these small communities, and it helps cover the cost for having the staff and stuff. I keep track of hours because you need to keep that with grants of time and everything, so.
You're going to apply for 5,000 again?
I'm going to apply for 5,000, but I would assume it probably less, because it all depends on what other communities. if
We
they apply.
received 4,319 in August.
Okay.
Yep.
That's 11 and 19, that was the difference there.
Steve and I was up north one time looking at a weed issue, and he stopped and grabbed one of his traps up there. Glad he's counting the mosquitoes and not me.
You guys are more than welcome. You guys are more than welcome, because it's a lot of microscope stuff, so.
All right, any other discussion? Anything else for Steve? We have a motion. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Go get her, Steve. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, Steve.
Let's go to number 11. Action to authorize a notice to bidders for fire suppression system for the basement and ground floors of the courthouse. Lee, this is your baby.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman.
There's a handout in your packet, too.
Yeah, but there's also a newer one I just passed out. It's a fresher draft, so we've been going back and forth just to make sure we get the details right. So it looks like, you got the right one. Going back and forth with the fire inspector, Chip Primus, to make sure we get everything correct. So this was kind of catalyzed by our courthouse remodel, but this is really something about modernizing the courthouse in general. It goes beyond the spaces that would be remodeled, covering the basement and that ground floor where the remodel is to take place. And this is about basically a sprinkler system. So on the alarm system, Milo is working with the current provider for our alarm services in the jail to extend that system into the courthouse, which would be coordinated with this project. Generally because of sprinklers, you don't need quite as many alarms because the sprinklers themselves act as an alarm. So that's the need for coordination. So the motion is that we give a notice to bidders in the news, as we need to in the newspapers. We can also put this on our website so that we can do that. You can see the pre-bid meeting would be scheduled for May 1st, and the bid opening would be scheduled for May 15th to give potential contractors, bidders enough time to sort through it.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Hatton. A discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I also met with the fire chief with Chip, and he brought up a very good point. He said rather than starting and stopping, maybe put this out at two different items. Maybe do the whole courthouse or just the basic what you've got covered here. Due to the fact that they're going to travel and once they get into a project to keep it going, and the whole courthouse eventually is going to need it anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point, Commissioner Waterman. There is, I should have mentioned, there is an alternate in here to add the first, second, and third floors to the courthouse. So in case that is a cost that we can swallow, so that's both in there. So, and then one of the things that Chip asked me to do was to include some of the key pages of the remodel in the bid, we can put them on our website so that potential contractors can take a look, as well as some of the what floor plans we can find for those other floors, so they can get ready to do that. So that's an excellent point.
And he indicated to me, and I'm sure he did to you too, that this would be different from the BK. We wouldn't have to get the architects involved in this project.
Yeah, well, they'd be coordinating with the people.
Coordinating, yeah.
Yeah, so and that's more efficient, so they can make it all happen.
I'm going to need the bid specs on both those projects. So I don't have anything.
I do.
Okay, yeah, I'll need those to print out for my folders for the state
Okay.
auditors.
I will.
Okay.
Yep.
In regards to the
And
motion,
bid specs for the asphalt.
Yeah.
do we need to amend the motion?
Well, I don't.
It's all.
Or is it?
No, it's already,
Yeah.
it's
It says
just
there.
a notice to bidders.
Yeah, some of the
just
basic specs are in here, just the floors that it covers, and things like to allow for future expansion.
This is just a notice to bidders. I
yeah.
do need the bid specs.
Right, and then the specifics will be put out at the pre-bid meeting, but as far as the floor plans and things, yeah, I can provide those. That were
Okay, thank you. Is everybody okay? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go to number 12. Action to award bid for courthouse remodel project. This is the biggie. We opened bids last week. In the meeting since then, we've had a meeting with the advisory group. And Lee, fill us in?
Sure. So we have a letter that that's been handed out to you from BKB explaining their recommendation to award the bid to Mills Construction. That was the low bidder. In the process that they went through, they basically confirmed that the contractor would stand behind their bid, and then they checked references. And so all the references came back very good. The other thing about the amount, I think that's important to take note of, let me see if we can project this here, so that we just have everything very clear in our minds. Let's see if I can do this.
All right, can you put that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, so my motion is to, I think, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My motion is to award the bid to Mills Construction, the base bid and the two alternates. So the alternates being for the checkpoint. So the base bid amount is $1,209,000, and then that would include then also the alternates to provide the checkpoint, which total $66,000. So the alternate one, which is the security equipment, is $48,000, and then alternate two, which are the partition walls to guide people to the security checkpoint, is $18,000. So.
All right, you've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second that.
A second by Hanton. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think it'd be good to just so we understand what's, and if you look at the letter, that large paragraph on the first page, it kind of explains their analysis of the bid, and that they think it's a good, the architect thinks it's a very good amount. A couple things to consider, to be aware of. If you look at what I have on the screen there, the bid came in at $1,209,000. So that covers a bit of a scope expansion. As we went through the design process, the attorney-client space is planned for what's going into the veterans office now. So that was a bit of an increase in floor space. Then the other key part that we realized as we went through it is that we needed fresh air circulation in that part of the courthouse. There's nothing there now, and so especially when you're going to increase the capacity of it. So what happened though is that we have to be prepared. So this is why I just want to be very clear on this. Is that bid includes would use the contingency that's built into the estimate of the project. So that's why you get. So all that said, it gets pretty close. I don't know if I can move my mouse there. It gets within that. It's pretty close to the estimate, but that uses up the contingency built into the project. So what we just need to be aware of is that we may be looking to the commissioner's contingency, which is, I think right now we have $250,000 in that amount. And then if that needs to cover part of this or other things, we still also can apply funds from the Future Building Projects Fund that we haven't applied yet to the budget. So that just so that we're all clear on what this would entail, because the things at the bottom below that, where you don't have the blue and white, Bruce and Anthony from BKB recommended going ahead and expecting that 5% construction contingency, so 5% of the 1.209 million is a little over 60,000, and then we know we have the alternates, which for the checkpoint, security checkpoint, so 66,000, and then I really don't know what the fire control is, so that's a very rough number there. So that's just so we have our eyes wide open. So the fire control point is more of a courthouse-wide thing, not necessarily this fund, but we can apply it from other parts of the reserves. So my point is, though, that even with that, this is still the cheapest way to move forward, I think, to get this job done and start reaping the benefits of saving the money of having a courtroom in the courthouse. And so,
all right, you've heard the motion and the second. Any more discussion?
Just a quick question on the alternates, just so I'm clear on that. Alternate number 1 is the actual checkpoint itself. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then alternate number 2 is the walkway leading to the checkpoint?
There's some glass partition walls that would guide the public to the checkpoint. So, and then we'd have to establish, an SOP with the sheriff, operating procedure with the sheriff to say when that would be used. So that would allow you to guide the public through, and how you fob the various doors. So you guide people to the checkpoint, particularly when court's in session. So and just to, if you don't mind me kind of amplifying on that a little bit, the advantage of that is that it is a cost savings. It's obviously there's a security benefit to it, but there's also a cost savings because you can use a lot fewer sheriff's personnel to provide security for the courtrooms. So because by having a central security point, right now they have to put at least one deputy with each courtroom.
So that alternate number 1 bid at 66,000, does that include the equipment?
Yeah,
scanners and that sort of thing?
Yeah, 66,000 is the total of the two alternates together, which those two alternates make up the checkpoint, essentially.
Good questions. Anything else? All right, any other questions? Any more discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, can I amplify one? So as far as making this happen, what we do, if we agree to award the bid, then we'll go through the paperwork. We can either do the letter in the form of a notice to proceed, which is pretty much let's go ahead with it, or we can do an intent to award and then give us a little bit of time to make sure. And just so you know, all the contracting materials that was built into the bid packet that the architect had the state's attorney go through beforehand. So that's all in that pile of paper that all the bidders went through.
Okay.
So,
any more discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call for a voice vote. Roll call vote. Cindy?
Commissioner Gable.
Aye.
Commissioner Waterman.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen.
Aye.
Commissioner Hamp. Aye. It's 5 votes in favor.
Motion carries. Thank you.
So I'll go ahead and work with the architect to get the paperwork in order then. So
we can proceed. Let's go to number 13, action to move restricted cash within the road and bridge fund. And this is nothing new? We do this?
No, this is, back in the 80s, there were 3 funds. There was a road fund, there was a county highway and bridge reserve fund, and there was a snow removal fund. Legislative audit, state of South Dakota recommended counties to move all of that into the road and bridge fund. These two amounts were actually the cash that was left over. On that sheet I gave you, $8,078.62 was cash that was left in the snow removal budget, or snow removal fund at that time. $2,333.23 was cash that was left in the County Highway and Bridge Reserve fund balance. After our recent audit, Department of Legislative Audit said there is no reason to leave those two numbers out there, that those two numbers should be removed, or should be changed into Road and Bridge Fund balance assigned for road and bridge, or restricted for road purposes, actually, is what it is. So those should just be, those two funds should be closed out and moved into that 4.7 million right above there. And that will cut down on the number of entries we have to make during our annual report.
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Hatton, a second by Gable. Any discussion?
So it's not changing the cash fund balance, it's just moving it all into road purposes. Believe me, we have probably spent $8,000 in snow removal, I would guess, and yeah. And County Highway and Bridge Reserve, those things can also be just taken out of the road.
So this is as clear as a slick paved road for you guys, right?
Yeah. It's just a bookkeeping thing to coordinate the dollars. And
Just so you guys understand where that money's at.
Total is $10,411.85 in part of a $4.7 million balance.
Thank you for that explanation. Any other discussion? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Action to approve an abatement application. Cindy?
None today.
All right, that's good. 16, action to approve automatic budget supplement.
Oh, nope, we need to do claims.
We're doing good. Action to approve personnel change.
No, we need to go back to 15.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We skipped over.
Yeah, claims.
Okay. We have one claim that needs to be paid to 810 Properties LLC, and this was one that just kind of went under the radar with the move of the nurses over to their new building. So in order to be on time with our payments, my recommendation is to make the April and May payments in the amount of $3,480. And then in May, we will make our June payment because the landlord wants that by the first of the month.
I'll make a motion to approve those claims.
We have a motion by Van Duzen, a second by Waterman. Any discussion? Everybody understand it? Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 And I was moving along pretty good there, Cindy.
Go back to number 16.
16, any action to approve automatic budget supplements?
And we have one of those for HMEP training, which hazmat awareness operations. It was a training that was put on, and we paid the two instructors $1,500. The training was held in February, I believe. No, January 17th. So we paid those two instructors $750 each, and we have been reimbursed by the state of South Dakota, so we can put that back into the emergency management budget.
Move to approve the...
Motion by Hatton, second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Personnel changes.
I just have the one this time. It's a seasonal Memorial Park maintenance position for John Schwant. He will be at step 2, $15.38 an hour.
Move to approve.
A motion by Van Duzen, second by Waterman. I don't know if he was motioning or moving his mic, but I got him. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Any mature business, old business to
We
bring
have
before the
travel
board?
requests. We didn't do travel
Oh,
requests.
there are none.
I didn't
I'm sorry.
see any.
Yep, there are none, sorry.
No travel requests. All right, let's go on then to old business.
Mr.
Yes.
A couple things, just,
Mr. Gable.
I had a CLORP meeting, so that's the Catastrophic Legal Expense Reimbursement Program. I'm on that board, and just so we're aware, I'll have to get this spreadsheet in digits from the digital version from Chris Jacobson, but as you're seeing counties conduct, trials for some pretty serious stuff, a few murder trials out there across the state, the expenses to that fund are going up year by year. So just for everybody's information, I'll get the digital version from Chris, but that's the thing, and we're gonna benefit from that program probably this year as a result of a couple trials in our county.
And as an aside to that, our court-appointed attorney budget, which is the budget for attorneys, when the public defender contracts cannot cover a defendant, we have to use a court-appointed attorney budget. We started with $100,000 at the beginning of the year. We have spent 60% of that budget.
And we got about half a year to go yet.
Yeah, part of it, we hope to submit some of it to CLERP, but it's definitely something we're going to need to watch. And then also, our public defender contracts expire at the end of this year, so you might want to start some conversations with the state's attorney. Would it be in our best interest to offer a third contract to hopefully cover some of this stuff that's now being covered by court-appointed attorneys?
Is there any difference in cost between that and a court-appointed attorney? Is it a little cheaper to do it?
It goes by their rates.
They submit a bid, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Currently, the court-appointed attorney rate, I think, is $100 an hour.
You can see that in these clerk claims,
Yeah.
So when we compare having a third,
But we will need to do a request for proposals for public defenders and see what we can get. It's just a thought that it may be time to move to a third public defender. We have our primary and then 2 secondaries, but
We're having,
I don't know if that. I don't know how you determine if that's going to save you some money or not.
I guess you try it, because there's many instances now where there's a conflict, so.
There is, and having a third,
it can help you with that.
I don't know. Something to think about.
Lee, has there been talk with CLERP? Has there been talk about those rates increasing?
What they do is every year they have been increasing, so the assessments on the counties do go up every year, but it's well worth it.
Oh yeah.
Just to give people an idea, so they're on the list that we went through yesterday. There were 2 murder trials, one in Grant County, one in Lake County, and both of those the county sought reimbursement for over $100,000. So, and I'm pretty sure both of those are after the $25,000 deductible.
And you can see that in our catastrophic legal budget, we budgeted $35,000. We spent $19,000.
That's crazy.
So 4 months into the year, and we are 51, almost 52% spent.
Another claim.
Which is based on the claims that have been turned into CLERP. Our contributing share is going up. So that, another commissioner's contingency item, I can see that we may have to have a formal budget hearing at the end of the year this year just to cover some of these things.
and I think if we go back and we search the scriptures a little bit, it all boils back down to the drug issues and that we're dealing with.
A lot of it.
And that's all part of the residual that people don't see or understand.
And, the jail budget last year, our inmate health costs were way over what we budgeted.
And we've already instructed them just to arrest healthy people, I don't seem to listen. I don't know. That's one of those things,
Come on, Troy, you're slacking.
I'm doing my part. Trying.
Would you like to make that a motion, Commissioner Johnson?
All right.
Make him run around that patrol car before
Anyway, this is nothing new. Definitely our law enforcement costs, prosecution, cost of inmates, everything.
That's the biggest
is
expense a
increasing.
county would have.
It is. Used to be the highway.
Yeah.
Rick's over there
Rick's
smiling
got that
now. It's
under
not him anymore.
Takes the pressure off Rick.
Yeah.
I'm still putting the budget together.
Yeah.
All right, is there any other old business?
Just
One other thing?
Today we have a JDA meeting, Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative meeting with probably Commissioner Van Dusen will go. Usually the sheriff or Tom from the jail will go. Interesting thing. That's at the high school at noon today.
1 o'clock.
1?
Oh, it could be.
I think it's noon. I think
I need to
But
check.
we'll show up at the right time. But the big thing is that the state hired a new consultant to replace Angie Colling, and so that's Annie Broken Leg from, I think she's from Rapid City. But we'll get to meet her today, so.
Okay, anything else? Let's go on into new business. Any new business? As you mentioned before, a meeting, it's kind of a good day in Watertown today. I suppose it's maybe sad day to some, good day to some others, but in the fact that the Goss thing was voted down last night. But the groundbreaking for Terex, for those of us that are in this community, they're breaking ground. The governor will be in town today for the groundbreaking, and they're doing a tremendously large expansion. And it'll be a great asset to our community. So it's good to see that happening.
It's going to be just south of the Redlands Center, as I understand it, out
Yep.
there in that complex.
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
Be their only building.
One big.
They're going to consolidate their structures into one building.
Yeah.
If you need a big warehouse, it's probably going to be worth it.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of empty buildings in Western Park.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of cheap rent buildings around town now.
A nice room in the jail.
The jail. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Is there anything else? Any other new business? Any other new
A
business?
couple of things on the agenda for next week. You'll be taking action to appoint 3 property owners to appraise the property that we will be selling by tax deed auction in June. That's part of the law. And also, I'm going to be asking you to change your June 5th meeting date, which is election day, to June 7th, so that I just won't have anybody available to clerk a meeting on June 5th, and we'll be using this space for absentee voting processing. And June 7th, we'll have to conduct the canvass.
All right.
Primary.
June, why not the 6th?
The 6th
Is the Wednesday?
is too soon.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
need time to get everything
Okay,
together.
gotcha.
Yeah, it'll be the 7th. It'll need to be the 7th.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thursday.
That's a
Yep,
Thursday. yeah.
And just a heads up, next week will be and you'll get information from Luke, the first reading on the wind ordinance that we've been
That'll be
reviewing.
May 1st.
May 1st, is that the first reading?
Yes.
All
He
right.
has not contacted me yet.
May
We
1st.
do have a public hearing to vacate a road, I believe, in Compesca Township or Compesca Village. I don't know if you've heard any of
I
anything.
haven't, I just seen.
I'll send out what Luke has given me. Yeah, it's public hearing at 9 a.m. next Tuesday on petition to vacate Amos Street in, I believe it's the town of Vera, Compesca Village. Anyway,
So
I've seen
here in
that,
this
but-
meeting, we'll do a first reading? Okay.
Yes.
Did you guys already look at that in the planning commission, or?
No, we have
I
not.
don't think that this goes before the
No, it
planning
doesn't? Okay.
commission.
No.
I'm not positive, I think this is just a county commissioner item, so, I assume Luke will be
Probably,
here.
so, yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's go on then to item number 21st. That's open, and thank you people for sitting tight and waiting. Don left?
Yeah, now we'll find it at 10:30. Can we defer it, put it on the agenda for next time?
Yes, we certainly can. We'll just leave it for the open next time. Is that all right?
Well, can you put it on the agenda?
We can put it on the agenda for, then we'll
You don't
get
want to
to
wait?
it.
What are you saying,
What is-
Doug?
It's in reference to the VA, right? Veterans Administration,
Cemetery.
Cemetery,
Veterans
yeah,
Cemetery.
VVA.
So is it just a discussion?
Veterans,
Just
and
discussion.
discussion.
Make it number 4 on the list.
All he wants is a letter of approval from the commission.
Well, that will take action, so I need to know exactly what you want.
Formal approval from the county commission for the cemetery. No support, no financial, nothing. Just a letter saying we support this.
Well, I think
That's all.
But what cemetery? I mean,
The Veterans Cemetery of South Dakota.
That's being proposed.
Yeah, I think a draft letter of endorsement, if that's what you're,
He had.
okay, so we need that.
And you would have to give some specifics as to location.
So let's not discuss this now. It's on the agenda for next week. We can deal with it next week.
Okay.
We just need to put it on the agenda for
okay,
next week.
all right, it's on the agenda.
The other person that I have is Amber. Is this Amber? Yes. You'd like to approach the board in reference to what? Come on up. Come on up. Okay. Take the microphone and we're not going to go through all of that.
No, we're not. No, we're not. It's just a.
So we'll give you a minute or two. Okay. Is the mic on?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Amber Christensen from the county.
From what county?
This county.
County, okay.
Yeah. This is in reference to last night's ordinance 68 planning and zoning meeting. Thank you for coming. We appreciate that. Some of you guys got these packets. These are just people that are non-participators that put together some information. It looks like more than it is, really. But we want everyone to have a copy before you have to listen to it all. You can just kind of thumb through it and see it. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's just citizens in Grant and Coddington. These weren't in there, and so we want to pass them out to you. And we gave Ruth one for the public record, so if you could add that, please.
Are those in this pile?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So really, the only thing was that you get that information, and we would appreciate if you'd actually review it. We didn't get to do any follow-up questions last night to the wind energy people, and that was unfortunate because they did get to answer some things that we did have questions, follow-up questions on. But one thing about the non-participating landowners is we had asked for a 2-mile setback with a waiver. Just for non-participating people, we don't want to stop wind energy. We just want to stop it from people who aren't compensated and who don't want to be a part of it, just to be safe and healthy. The wind energy people did testify that they don't work with non-participators. They only work with participating landowners. So you guys are our last roadblock there to stop them from encroaching on us. So we just want to ask for your protection on that, so if we could come to some agreement on that. And another thing I learned last night that I did not know is the Planning and Zoning Board's goal is to keep people out of moving into the county, out into the rural community. And I did not know that. I always thought we were a rural community and we supported that, but he said that's why you have the 35-acre rules to keep people out from moving out there. And I think as a tax alternative to the wind energy, giving people, and this helps with toxic stress too. I'd really like a copy of that, by the way. How would I get a copy of that?
I can make you a copy.
I appreciate that.
By the welfare office.
Getting kids out and families back out into the communities, into the rural community where they can get fresh air and have a pet and have an animal, and I mean, really working in the dirt is really helpful. So those 1 to 5 acre plots are taxed higher than a regular ag land. Mine is, I know. I have 21 acres. All I have is chickens and alfalfa, but still, I'm out there digging in the dirt. But that's really all I had to say. And
okay, thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
I'm getting a copy made for you, so.
I have one other item, and good news. I have a letter on my desk from FEMA, and I always get nervous when I get a letter from FEMA. But it says, and I got to read this because this is pretty cool. The Honorable Myron Johnson, jeepers, gravity. I better comb my hair. Anyway, it says, Dear Mr. Johnson, we are pleased to announce the approval of the Coddington County Pre-Disaster Mitigation Plan as meeting the requirements of the Stafford Act and Title 44 Code of Federal Regulations 201.6 for a local mitigation plan. This approval extends to Cuyahoga County, the city of Watertown, and the towns of Florence, Henry, Kranzberg, South Shore, and Wallace. The approved jurisdiction is hereby eligible for FEMA Hazard Mitigation Assistance Grant programs. All requests for funding will be evaluated individually according to specific eligibility and other requirements of the particular programs under which the application is submitted. Approved mitigation plans may be eligible for points under the National Flood Insurance Program Community Rating System. The plan is approved through April 8th of 2013. A local jurisdiction must revisit its plan and resubmit for approval within 5 years to continue to be eligible for mitigation project grant funding. We have provided recommendations for the next plan update on the closed plan review tool. We wish to thank the jurisdiction for participating in the plan process and commend your continued commitment to reduce future disaster losses. Please contact Jim Poppin, State Hazard Mitigation Officer, South Dakota Office of Emergency Management, at so on and so forth, his email address, with any questions on the plan, approval, or mitigation grant program. So that's good news, and I'll make certain that Jim Sutton gets this. We'll pass it on to him. I don't know if anybody would like to look at it. It's just more paperwork here other than the cover letter. Any questions?
I also have some, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's good.
Are we okay with this?
Yeah, it's a lot of work on Jim's part.
That's good, and I'll leave this with Cindy.
It's a very comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some items that there could be a quorum of commissioners at possibly. I don't know if anyone else is going to Joy Ranch tonight for Chef Night. Tomorrow, behavioral health meeting at 2 o'clock. I had a CJAC on Thursday, but that's been changed so many times. We're not having CJAC this Thursday. I'm speaking at Republican Women's on Friday. Prom is also this Saturday night, and there could be a quorum of commissioners, I'm guessing, at prom, taking photos of our children and grandchildren. Other than that, I don't have any other items that there could be a quorum.
Since you mentioned it, though, since we had the CCJAC meeting on Thursday, which basically mostly we reviewed the bids and also talked about the overall all the different efforts going on to work on criminal justice, not just facilities like a jail and court facilities, but that's so people might want to take a look at the draft minutes. But the next meeting is June 19th, so a couple months from now.
19th.
Nothing in May.
Yeah, nothing in May. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anything else for the good of the cause? All right. At this time, then we would go in executive session.
Nope, bids. We have to go.
Yeah.
Asphalt
Yeah,
bids.
Rick.
Yes,
Come on, Rick.
asphalt
Rick
bids.
and Rick.
Yep.
We got the Rick and Rick show continuing on here. Sorry. Thank you. Covered a lot of ground since it's been right here pretty deep.
Cindy, here's a copy of the specs.
Thank you.
Here's the original documents. Went through the numbers they gave added up. The bid from Bituminous, they just used virgin materials, so we'll just go over that. $92 per ton on bid A at 5,800 tons comes to $533,600. Bid C at $140 per ton for 1,500 tons comes to $210,000. And bid E at $63 per ton at 500 tons comes to $31,500 for a total bid of $775,100. On Dunnick's bid, bid A, $76 times 5,800 tons is $440,800. Bid C at $88 per ton for 1,500 tons comes to $132,000. And bid E at $57 per ton for 500 tons picked up at the plant comes to $28,500 for a total of $601,300 for virgin material.
What was that last number, 601 what?
$601,300. $601,300.
Thank you.
Option 2 for using recycled materials at $69 per ton times a 5,800 ton comes to $400,200. Bid D at $79 per ton times 1,500 ton comes to $118,500. And bid F at $47 per ton for 500 ton comes to $23,500 for a total bid using recycled material of $542,200. Dunick is the low bidder in all respects. My recommendation on acceptance would be accepting the bid by Dunick using recycled material. That $542,200, it's a $59,100 savings over using virgin material for the project, of considerable savings. Also, I had $778,900 in the budget for, originally it was in the budget for doing 4th Avenue west of town, and it switched over to that. So there's plenty budgeted there to do the 4 miles that were in the bid, but I did mention in the bid the option to do those additional 2 miles. If we do those additional 2 miles, it'll be about $813,300, which would be about $34,000 over what I had bid. But the category bid D, where we were using 1,500 tons for patching around the county, we could cut back on some of that patching. I can see typically we don't use the 1,500. We could get some money out of there. We only need $34,000 to approximately to do the 6 miles. So my intention would be to do the 6 miles as long as they're there.
I would make that motion to go along with Rick's recommendation to do the 6 miles and accept the bid from Dunick on recycled materials.
You heard the motion by Hatton, a second by Waterman. Any discussion? There'll be a lot of happy people out in the community to hear this.
Would be a shame just to do the 4 when you're right there and not just continue on
Right,
and
yeah,
do
and as
the
long,
2.
like I said, I had it in the budget all except for $34,000, and I think, you know, even if we would use up that 1,500 ton for the patching, there's another item in the gravel. Well, I've got 50,000 tons. If we cut that back to 35,000 tons and use some of that money, I think it's smart to do those 6 miles.
Yeah. When it's continuous, I would agree.
What was in your budget? 700 what?
778,900 was in the budget.
But your estimating was, you gave another figure to do the extra 2 miles.
The total would be approximately $813,300, which is $34,400 higher than what I had in the budget.
But you can make that up elsewhere.
Yeah, we can reduce the amount of patching we do. Typically, we don't use that entire 1,500 tons patching.
Okay.
And if we would happen to do that, another thing we can cut back on, we've got a pretty good gravel stockpile in that area now, but we could cut that back to, you know, I've got 50,000 in there, we cut it back to 35,000 ton and have plenty of gravel, so I don't think that'll be a problem.
All right, thank you, Rick.
You bet, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Rick, do you have this process all figured out now?
We need to vote.
Yeah. We've got a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any more questions, any more discussion? Any more discussion? Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Back to plowing snow.
I'd like to request an executive session also.
All right, sure. You bet. And we've got one scheduled.
Everything else?
And what
I'll
was
make
this
a
before?
motion personnel. I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
All right, we have a
Second that
motion by
motion.
Hatton to go into executive session by Hatton, a second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. I doubt that there'll be any action after we come out.